concept-based inquiry in the arts, design, physical education, and the early years. A grade 8 drama teacher stands at the front of her room. The desks have been pushed against the walls. The class is sitting on the floor. She has chosen 2 volunteers. She has handed each of them a small sticky note. The sticky notes have something written on them that the rest of the class cannot see. She projects the scene on the board. 4 lines, 8 words each. A says, "You're here." B says, "I am." A says, "I waited." B says, "I know." That is the entire scene. The volunteers play it. The first time, the class watches. The teacher tells the volunteers to do it again. The second time, the class watches more carefully. Something is different. Something has shifted. Same words, same actors, different scene entirely. The teacher says, same scene, same words, twice. On your sticky note, write what changed between version 1 and version 2. Be specific, body, voice, eyes. The students write. They write a lot. Things like, in the first one, A was relaxed and B was small. In the second one, A was fidgeting and B was calm. In the first one, A's voice was loud. In the second, it was thin. In the first one, B looked down. In the second, A looked down. The teacher reveals the sticky notes. The first time, A was status 9, B was status 2. The second time, A was status 2, B was status 9. The numbers were the only thing that changed. The students cannot put a name to what they just saw, but they can feel it. They can describe it in their own bodies. They have just discovered subtext. They have just discovered status. They have just discovered the move that lies underneath all drama, all film, all human conversation, in fact. Power lives in body, voice, and silence, not in the words. This is concept-based inquiry in the arts. The craft principle is shown, not defined. The students see it, feel it, articulate it, then they apply it. These disciplines are different. Before we go further, I want to name something specific about the arts, design, physical education, and the early years. These are disciplines we call, in the language of concept-based inquiry, structure of process disciplines. They are not built around a body of content the students must remember. They are built around craft, around moves, around skill, around principles that the practitioner uses again and again in different combinations for different effects. In a structure of knowledge discipline, like history, the work is to understand the content and the concepts that emerge from it. In a structure of process discipline, like drama, the work is to understand the craft moves that produce effect. The drama is not the play. The drama is the work the actor does to make the play live. The art is not the painting. The art is the choices the painter makes that turn paint and canvas into meaning. So the move shifts slightly. In knowledge disciplines, we examine cases to build a concept. In process disciplines, we examine craft choices to articulate a principle, and then we deploy that principle ourselves. The whole structure of concept-based inquiry still applies. Examples: comparison, articulation, transfer. But the texture is different. The transfer is almost always a making. The students do not just understand the principle, they use it. They paint, they compose, they perform, they design, they play. Let me walk you through several worked examples from across these disciplines. By the end, you will see a pattern. The same essential move shows up in visual arts, in music, in drama, in design, in physical education, and even in kindergarten. Visual arts, composition in grade 6. A grade 6 art teacher projects 2 portraits on the board. On the left is Vermeer's girl with a pearl earring. Soft dark background. Girl turned 3/4. Earring catching the light. Eyes meeting the viewer. On the right is a passport-style snapshot blown up. Subject squashed in the bottom left of the frame. A fluorescent ceiling tube cutting across the top of the head. Half a door visible on the right. She does not lecture. She says, both pictures show one person. Do not analyze. Just look. With your finger, trace in the air where your eye goes first, second, third. Now do it for the other picture. Whisper to your partner. Which one was easier to look at and where did your eye land first? The children trace, they whisper, they notice. The eye in the Vermeer goes first to the earring, then to the eyes, then to the line of the mouth. The eye in the snapshot wanders. There is no place to land. Then she sorts more images on the board. Yes, strong composition. No, weak composition. The yes side has Hokusai's great wave, with the diagonal energy of the wave and the tiny calm Mount Fuji as a quiet counterweight. Cartier-Bresson's photograph of a man leaping a puddle, the figure caught at the intersection of thirds with his reflection beneath. The no side has the snapshot from before, plus two awkwardly composed family photos. She asks, what do the yes pictures do to your eye that the no pictures do not? The children compare. They identify what they call weight. Big things pull the eye. Bright things pull the eye. Faces and eyes pull the eye. They identify what they call placement. Where the artist puts the important thing matters. They identify what they call balance. Big things on one side need something on the other side. The teacher names the cluster, focal point, visual weight, balance, the transfer task, a badly composed photograph of the school's front entrance. The students must recompose it three ways, then a centered composition, a rule of thirds composition, a diagonal composition, under each thumbnail, one sentence. Where did you move the weight and why? The strong responses use the three principles. They show in their thumbnails what they have learned. The pitfall is the obvious one. Do not tell students the rule of thirds at the start. The rule is the reward for noticing. If you name it first, the discovery dies. Visual arts, symbolism in grade 9. Now move up to grade 9. The teacher projects Picasso's Guernica, large and unsettling. The students look at it for a full minute in silence. Then she asks, what do you see in this painting? The children describe a bull, a horse, a figure with a lamp, a mother with a dead child, a broken sword, a flower. She asks, what do these things stand for? The discussion begins. The bull. Does it stand for Spain? For brutality? For the people? For fascism? Argument? The horse, the flower in the rubble, the light, the eye in the bulb. Then she shows two more symbolic paintings. Different cultures, different centuries. The same craft move at work. The students compare. They start to articulate what makes something symbolic. The thing is more than itself. The thing carries meaning beyond what it depicts. The thing is repeated given context, set against something opposite. The transfer. Each student creates a symbolic self-portrait, not a literal portrait, a composition of objects that stand for things about them. A particular tree, a particular doorway, a particular musical instrument. Each object must do work. Each object must stand in. Underneath, a paragraph explaining what each object means and how the placement reinforces the meaning. The work the students produce is unforgettable, not because they painted well, because they understood what they were doing. Music, tension, and resolution in grade 7. A grade 7 music teacher sits at a piano at the front of the room. She does not announce a topic. She says, listen with your body, not your ears. She plays 4 chords, C major, a minor, F major, G major. Then she plays them again. But this time, instead of going back to C major to end, she stops on G major. She lets the chord ring. She holds the silence for 3 seconds. Then she asks, out of 5, how finished did the first one feel? How finished did the second one feel? The children rate on their fingers. The first one, 4 or 5. The second one, 1 or 2. The teacher asks, what changed? A child says, the second one wants to keep going. It feels like there should be more. The teacher nods. She writes one word on the board, tension. The music wants to move somewhere. Then another word, resolution. It gets there. Then she plays 6 listening clips. Pachelbel's canon, Wagner's Tristan und Isolde with a famous unresolved chord, the Star Wars fanfare, the Psycho shower scene strings, the Hey Jude outro, Sunday Bloody Sunday's opening drone. The students rate each one's tension. They identify which engine the composer used. Harmonic, where a chord wants to move. Melodic, where a note pulls toward another. Rhythmic, where the offbeat unsettles. The discussion is rich. Some clips are pure resolution. Some are pure tension that never resolves. The Tristan chord, the Psycho strings, the Hey Jude outro is interesting. It resolves over and over. The listener gets the satisfaction repeatedly. The Wagner is interesting in the opposite way. The tension never lands. The audience is held in a state of wanting. The transfer task. Each student composes a 4-bar chord progression. Bar 1, tonic, bar 2 and 3, build tension, bar 4, either resolve or deny resolution. The student plays it for a partner. The partner has to guess. Did you resolve or did you hang us? The strong responses know exactly what they did. My progression goes C to A minor to F to G. The G leaves the listener hanging because the ear expects it to come back to C. I chose this because my piece is about waiting for a message that never arrives. That is the work. The student has just used a craft principle, not memorized it, used it. Music in the diploma years. Cultural context shapes form. At the diploma level, the same move deepens. A diploma music teacher plays 4 laments. From 4 traditions, a Western classical lament, a Hindustani raga associated with mourning, a West African funeral song, a jazz piece by John Coltrane that responds to a personal grief. She asks, what do they share? What separates them? The students compare the emotional intent, mourning, loss, wanting. The musical grammars differ. The Western lament has chord progressions and structure. The raga has microtones and a relationship with time of day. The West African has call and response. The jazz piece has improvisation around a theme. Same human impulse. 4 traditions. 4 shapes the impulse takes. The principle that emerges is huge. Form is shaped by cultural context. The same emotional move travels across the world. The grammar it borrows differs. The transfer. Students are asked to compose a brief musical response to a feeling. They must choose which tradition they will borrow from. They must justify the choice. Drama, subtext, and status. Back to the grade 8 drama classroom we started with. The teacher has named what the class saw. Status. The power relationship between 2 people played in body, voice, and silence. Subtext. What the character actually wants under the spoken line. She sends them to stations. 6 short scene excerpts. From Hamlet, from Romeo and Juliet, from Death of a Salesman, from A Doll's House, from The Crucible, from Pinter's The Birthday Party. At each station, the children give the characters status numbers from 1 to 10. They identify the subtext. The teacher walks around with one coaching note. Don't act it big. Play the want. Then the class fills a chart. Across all 6 scenes, character status, what each one wants. The subtext move, the shifts in status during the scene. The generalization comes out clearly. What characters say is often less revealing than what they don't say. Status shifts, manifest in body, voice, and silence. The transfer. Each pair takes a 6-line scene they know. From a film, a TV show, a meme, they re-perform it twice. First as the audience expects. Second, with a deliberate status flip, the underling gets status 9. The boss gets status 2. Don't change a single word. The audience has to read the flip without being told. The students perform. The audiences read. The status flip is undeniable. Same words, different scene. The pitfall the teacher names. Letting students act emotion instead of play want. The minute someone says play it's sad, the scene dies. Coach with intentions. You want her to leave. You want him to say yes. You want to win without seeming to want it. Status emerges from want. Drama in the diploma years. Adaptation. At the diploma level, the same move appears in a different form. The teacher plays 3 filmed productions of the same scene. Hamlet's soliloquy, to be or not to be. 3 radically different stagings. Laurence Olivier on a cliff in 1948. Kenneth Branagh in a hall of mirrors in 1996. Andrew Scott in modern dress whispering directly into the camera in 2017. Same words. 3 readings. The students compare. What does each director privilege? What does each director abandon? What survives in all 3? Olivier brooded. Branagh confronted his own image. Scott confessed to the audience as if it were a friend. The principle that emerges. Adaptation is interpretation in action. Every directorial choice privileges a reading. What is preserved, recontextualized, or abandoned reveals the production's argument about what the play is for. The transfer. Each student outlines an adaptation of a chosen scene for a different time, place, and context. They must name the directorial argument in a single sentence. Design, form versus function. Now to a grade 7 design classroom. The teacher projects 2 chairs on the board, side by side. On the left, a sculptural designer chair. Inverted cone, gleaming metal, looks like art, costs a fortune, tortuous to sit in for 10 minutes. On the right, an old Aeron office chair, scuffed black mesh, faded fabric, visible levers, beloved by everyone who has ever sat in one for 8 hours. The teacher says, both cost about the same. Pick one to sit in for 8 hours a day, every day for a year. Stand on the left of the room for the left chair. The right side for the right chair. No middle. The class votes with their feet. Almost everyone goes to the Aeron. Then she says, same 2 chairs, same rules. Pick the one you would photograph for your living room. The class moves. The room nearly flips. The cone chair wins for the photograph. She asks, why did most of us switch sides for the second question? The discovery is fast. The 2 questions are different. The chair has different jobs. One is the job of being comfortable. The other is the job of being beautiful. Sometimes one chair does both. Sometimes a chair sacrifices one for the other. And which sacrifice matters depends on what the chair is for. She introduces the concept. Form, how it looks and feels, function, what it does, and how well it serves the user. Good design is both. In conscious negotiation, the cross-comparison chart, 6 products, the iPhone, the Juichiro, a $400 juice press that did less than a person's hands, the Swiss Army knife, the Microsoft Zune, the Eames lounge chair, a generic plastic ruler. The students plot each on a 2x2 grid. Beautiful and functional. Beautiful and dysfunctional. Ugly and functional. Ugly and dysfunctional. Each placement is annotated with what the designer prioritized. The pattern emerges. The best designs sit in the beautiful and functional quadrant. The most dangerous designs sit in the beautiful and dysfunctional quadrant. The Juichiro, the smart fridge with a touch screen nobody uses. The spiked stiletto heel that destroys feet. These are products that look great and fail their user. The lesson is sharp. Beauty without function is decoration. Decoration that pretends to be design is a betrayal of the user. The transfer. Each student picks a familiar object that currently sacrifices form for function or function for form. A school lunchbox, a water bottle, a reusable bag. They redesign it. They sketch 2 versions. The current dominant trade-off. They redesign that negotiates the tension better. Under each a 2-sentence design brief. Who is the user? What did you prioritize? What did you give up? The work the students produce is real design thinking, not aesthetics, not feature listing, trade-off negotiation, design. User-centered design in grade 9. The same approach scales. A grade 9 teacher introduces user-centered design through empathy. Students do not start with a brief. They start with a person with a specific problem. They interview the person, they observe, they list the user's needs. Only then do they begin to sketch. The principle is empathy as the engine of iteration. You design for someone, not for an idea you have. The user is the constraint and the inspiration. The first sketch is never right. The user reviews, you revise, you make a prototype. The user uses it. You revise again. By the time the students arrive at a final design, they have iterated 4 or 5 times. Each iteration has been driven by something the user said, did, or struggled with. The students have learned that design is not creativity in a vacuum. Design is creativity in service of a particular person. Physical education. Game strategy in grade 8. A grade 8 PE teacher takes the class to the field. She announces a game. End zone tag rugby. 2 teams. Get the ball into the other team's end zone. If you're tagged with the ball, pass within 3 seconds or it is a turnover. Round 1. No talking before. No huddle. Just play. 3 minutes. Go. The first round is chaos. Children chase the ball in a clump. 1 or 2 kids dominate. The rest stand around. The score is uneven. Possession changes randomly. She calls time, same teams. But now they get 3 minutes to huddle. Assign roles. Decide one attacking move. Decide one defending move. Use the whiteboard if you want. The teams huddle. They scribble. They play round 2. The difference is undeniable. The score changes. The pace changes. The feeling of being in a team changes. Same kids, same field, different game. She sits the class on the line. She asks, what was different? The children answer, we had roles, we knew where to be, we could anticipate, we knew what to do when we lost the ball. We worked together, she names it, system, the whole team acting as connected parts. Each player's move depending on the others. Tactic, the specific plan that organizes the system. Role, one player's job within the tactic. She runs round 3 with a tactical structure. Each team chooses 3 specific roles. Anchor, playmaker, runner. Each team chooses 2 tactics, one attacking, one defending. Every 90 seconds, the teacher stops the game for a 30-second mini huddle. Is the tactic working? Adjust. The cross-round chart goes up on the wall. Round 1, round 2, round 3. For each, what did the team do in attack, in defense, in transition? What was the score? What did it feel like? The generalization is sharp. Team performance emerges from a system of coordinated roles and tactics. Individual skill alone cannot defeat a well-organized system. The transfer. Design a tactical plan for a new scenario. A 4 versus 5 game where you are down 1 player. A 5 versus 5 game where the field is half the normal width. A 5 versus 5 game where one teammate is much faster than anyone else. 3 roles, 1 attacking move, 1 defending move, 1 transition trigger. The students design, they play, they debrief, they learn. The pitfall is real and the teacher names it. Do not let round 1 stop the lesson. If kids hate the chaos of unstructured play, they will resist the whole arc. Frame it explicitly. Round 1 is the data. It is not the punishment. Celebrate round 1 as evidence gathering, not failure. Physical education, wellness for older students. The same approach scales to wellness for older students. A grade 10 PHE teacher does not lecture on sleep, nutrition, and stress. She has students track their own data for a week. Sleep hours, activity minutes, caffeine intake, mood. Then they look across the week. They identify patterns. They compare across the class. They notice when sleep drops below 7 hours, mood drops the next day. When activity goes above 30 minutes, focus improves. The principle that emerges: wellness is a system of habits in balance. Each habit affects every other. A change in one variable ripples across the system. The students have not been told to sleep more. They have discovered from their own data that sleeping more changes everything else. Now, to the early years. I want to spend the rest of this chapter on the early years, on the children who are 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7, the kindergarteners, the grade ones, the new to school, because everything we have said in this book applies to them with small adjustments, and those adjustments matter. There is a temptation to think concept-based inquiry only works for older students, that kindergartners are too young to articulate a generalization, that little ones need explicit teaching because they cannot reason yet. This is not true. Concept-based inquiry works beautifully in the early years. It just looks different. Smaller bodies, simpler words, lots of objects, lots of sounds, lots of picture sorts, lots of partner talk. Sentence stems are essential. Don't ask for long writing. Don't ask for written generalizations. Ask for spoken ones. Ask for drawn ones. Ask for acted ones. Let me give you 4 quick worked examples. Patterns in kindergarten. The teacher stands in front of the children on the carpet. She does not write anything. She does not say the word pattern. She just claps and stomps. Clap, stomp, clap, stomp, clap, stomp. Then pat head, touch nose, pat head, touch nose. Then clap, stomp, clap, clap, stomp, pat. Head clap. Random. She asks, hands up if one of those felt different from the others. Turn to your partner. Which one was the odd one out? The children's bodies notice. They name the random one as the odd one. They cannot yet name what is missing, but their bodies know. Then she shows them 6 picture cards. Zebra stripes, a brick wall, day night, day night. On a yes side, a messy toy box. Scribbles, a random pile of leaves. On a no side, what do the yes pictures have that the no pictures don't have? The children pass around a magnifying glass cutout. The child holding it shares one idea. By the end, someone says, it does it again, it repeats. She writes one word on the chart, pattern, and one short sentence. A pattern is something that repeats. That is the discovery by kindergartners without lecture. The transfer is to a bag of mixed buttons, blocks, and pasta. Make your own pattern. Test a friend. The strong 4-year-olds say, I made button pasta, pasta, button pasta, pasta. My rule is 1 button, 2 pastas. Next is a button. That is concept formation in kindergarten. Inductive, embodied, owned by the child, living versus non-living in kindergarten. I describe this in the science chapter. Let me touch on it again. The teacher does not give the criteria of life. She lays out 6 picture cards. 3 alive, 3 not alive. The children figure out the criteria by sorting. Then mystery cards break the easy rules. Fire moves but does not make babies. A seed does not move but will grow into a plant. A robot dog moves and barks but does not eat or grow. A river moves but does not have babies. By the end, kindergartners have built the criteria of life themselves. They can apply the criteria to a mushroom they have never seen. They tell the alien, why do we play together? Cooperation in grade 1. The PE teacher runs a game, 2 rounds. The first round is every kid for themselves. No rules, no teams. It collapses into chaos. There is shoving, there are tears. The teacher does not lecture. She calls a stop. She asks, how did that feel? The children answer in one word each. Crazy, sad, cheating, loud, unfair, pushy. Then she runs the same game with 3 rules. 1. You can only carry 1 beanbag at a time. 2. Each team works together. 3. No snatching from a friend's hand. The second round is loud but joyful. The children high five. She asks, "How did that feel?" "Fun, better, together, fast." She puts the children's words side by side. Round 1, what went wrong? Round 2, what worked? She circles one word, cooperation, then a sticky note sort, green for helps the game, red for hurts the game. The children draw and stick, sharing, passing, taking turns, snatching, pushing, hoarding, the generalization in the children's own voice. A game works when everyone follows the same rules and helps each other. Transfer. Each group invents a new playground game. The game must have one cooperation rule. The strong responses are charming. Our game is pass the sun. We pass a beanbag around the circle. The rule is you must say thank you to the friend who hands it to you. If we drop it, the whole team starts again. Together, 6-year-olds, discovering cooperation as a strategy, not as a value lecture, as a practical solution to a problem they have felt in their bodies. The cloud question. The cloud question is a small joy of early years CBI. A child asks, "Is a cloud alive?" Most teachers, even experienced ones, give a quick answer. "No, the cloud is not alive." The CBI teacher says, "Let's use our rules. Does a cloud grow?" Yes. Clouds grow. Does a cloud move? Yes. Clouds move. Does a cloud need food and water? The children think. Does a cloud make baby clouds? The children laugh. They argue. Some say yes. Some say no. The teacher does not resolve it immediately. She says, "Tonight, look at the sky. Watch a cloud. See if it makes baby clouds. Bring me your answer tomorrow." She's not giving the answer. She's sending the child back into the world with a question and a tool. That is the whole of CBI in a single moment. Tips for working with the very young. A few specific moves matter when you're running concept-based inquiry with children under 8. Use objects, lots of objects. Buttons, beans, beads, pasta, pebbles, picture cards, plastic animals. The thinking happens through the hands. Use sounds, use bodies, clap, stomp, pat, reach, squat, dance. The body holds the concept before the mouth can say it. Use picture sorts, big visible pictures. 2 clear columns, yes and no, or helps and hurts, or alive and not alive. Children sort, children defend, whose partner talk. Always, not raise your hand if you know. That privileges the same 5 children. Instead, turn to your partner, whisper your idea. This privileges everyone. Use sentence stems, short ones. A pattern is vik, a living thing vaiko, when everyone shares the game to. Give the children the start of the sentence. Let them finish. Use role play. Use socio-dramatic play. The children become finches. The children become migrators. The children become builders solving a problem. Don't ask for long writing. Don't ask for written essays. Spoken sentences, drawn pictures, acted out roles. The thinking is rich. The output channel is the question. And the one rule that matters most. Don't give the concept word first. The word is the reward for noticing. If you say, "Today we are learning about patterns," you have stolen the discovery. If you let the children notice that things repeat and then give them the word pattern as a label for what they have already seen, you have honored their thinking. The pattern that runs through everything. If you look back across this chapter, you will see one move repeating itself. In drama, in music, in art, in design, in PE, in kindergarten, the same move. Show examples and non-examples. Don't define. Let the children compare. Let them notice. Let them articulate the principle in their own words. Then give them a new situation that asks them to apply the principle. That is concept-based inquiry. In every structure of process discipline, in every early years classroom, the materials change. Drama uses bodies and lines. Music uses chords and silences. Art uses paintings and tracing paper. Design uses chairs and grids. PE uses cones and beanbags. Kindergarten uses buttons and clay. The materials change. The move does not. This is good news because it means you do not have to learn a new pedagogy for every subject you teach. You have to learn one move. The move is the same everywhere. Show, do not define. Let them compare. Let them articulate. Then ask them to apply. The action you can take tomorrow. Here is the move I want you to try. Pick one craft principle in your discipline. One principle you usually demonstrate or define. The rule of thirds, the chord progression, the way a leading actor enters the stage, the way a defender plays zone, the way a child works out place value. Tomorrow, do not demonstrate it. Do not define it. Show examples and non-examples instead. 2 columns, yes and no, 3 or 4 in each. Let the students compare. Let them sort. Let them argue. Let them notice. Wait. Be patient. Let them name the principle in their own words. When they have it, give them the formal name as a gift, not a starting point. Then give them a new situation. Ask them to apply the principle. That is the move. Examples instead of definition. Comparison instead of demonstration. Articulation instead of memorization. Application instead of recitation. If you do this once in art, once in music, once in PE, once in design, your students will start to expect their lessons to be like this. They will lean forward. They will argue. They will notice. If you do this in kindergarten, you will discover that the youngest learners are the most capable of inductive thinking. They have not yet been trained out of it. They are ready, show, compare, articulate, apply. A 60-second recap. We started with a grade 8 drama teacher who played the same 4 lines twice. Once at status 9, once at status 2. From that single moment, an entire approach to the arts emerged. We watched the same move unfold across visual arts, music, drama, design, physical education, and the early years. Show examples. Let children compare. Let them articulate. Ask them to apply. We learned that these disciplines are structure of process. The case is not what matters. The craft move is what matters. The case is the vehicle. The move is the cargo. And we saw that the same approach works with 4-year-olds, with 12-year-olds, with 17-year-olds. The materials change. The move does not. The single piece of advice I want to leave you with is this. In every discipline that lives in the body, show, do not define. Let the students see 2 examples, 2 contrasts. Let their bodies notice. Then let their words follow. We have toured every major discipline now. We have watched concept-based inquiry come alive in mathematics, in the sciences, in language and literature, in social studies and humanities, in the arts, in design, in physical education, and in the early years. In every case, the move is the same. Phenomenon or example first. Articulation second. Formula or definition third. Transfer fourth. The case is the vehicle. The concept is the cargo. The concept is what stays. In part 5, we step back and look at the bigger picture. Why does this method work according to cognitive science? What does the research on memory, schema formation, and transfer tell us about why CBI produces understanding that lasts? What pitfalls do new CBI teachers stumble into in their first year? And how can you recover when you stumble? And how do you start tomorrow without redesigning your whole curriculum? Part 5 is the closing arc. It will give you the science behind the method, the practical first steps, and the long view on what it means to build a culture of inquiry in your classroom and your school. See you there.